Welcome to the Journey to Prosperity for All. I'm your host, 𝐘𝐄𝐀, and on this program, we will highlight the work the administration has been doing throughout the length and breadth of Guyana over its first 2 years in office. And today we have with us a very special guest, the Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, the Honorable Deodat Indar. Minister, welcome to the program.
𝐘𝐄𝐀, thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.
And we're glad to have you. So we're just going to go right into it. We know that the Ministry of Public Works plays a pivotal role in the development of Guyana, the physical development, what we see of Guyana. And the President has spoken at length about ensuring that our country is comparable to those in the first world. Minister, a lot has happened over the past 2 years. How would you assess the work the ministry has been doing for the past 2 years?
Well, I think what we've done in 2 years, if you stack it up to what was done maybe in the last 10 years under the previous government and, prior to. The last 2 years have seen a massive explosion of works throughout the country, regardless of the sector. But with respect to public works, which covers aviation, the maritime sector, sea defense, roads and bridges and so on, the Harbour Bridge, CGIA, as well as, the hinterland roads and airfields and so on. Public works literally span the entire spectrum of Guyana, and we have been everywhere all the time. I mean, 2 years seems like it's just gone by, but it's 2 years of non-stop work at breakneck speed. So, I think in retrospect, I mean, we have to leave it up to the country to appraise us. But in retrospect, I believe that we have done a fair job in terms of implementing what we promise and implementing what the budget allocation for the ministry is. So last year, we would have finished off in a 90 percentile of PSIP, which is a public sector investment program, which is a capital program for the ministry. And public works have been getting the lion's share of the capital budget, simply because the president's vision and the manifesto promises was in the very vicinity of developing Guyana and making Guyana, as you rightly said, comparable to first world. How you do that and the speed and how you do that and the projects you choose, will determine how long you take from ground zero to meet first world standard. Or we have been choosing a mix of projects that will take us there, and we can go through some of them when you're ready.
Yes, and we'll go right into that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about implementing promises and fulfilling promises, this administration has promised, while on the campaign trail, to ensure that the new bridge across the 𝐎�𝐅𝐈𝐂𝐄 River is a reality, and we've seen that contract signing back in May. How important is it for this promise to be delivered to the Guyanese people?
Well, I can tell you, you just go through the traffic in the morning on the west side coming into the Georgetown area, and from East Bank coming into Georgetown, and those who want to leave Georgetown to go during the morning hours, and you'll see why we need it. It's traffic like you've never seen before. It's packed up everywhere, and we have one bridge that is dealing with this massive load. Now, this bridge is old that we have currently. And imagine weight on it consistently all the time throughout the length of the bridge and the width of it, because traffic is coming and going, or when the bridge is open on that side, both lanes are open. So there's some effects of all the weight of the vehicle is on the bridge all the time. So just imagine what's happening to it.
For 40 years? About 40 years?
It's been, I think, in 1976 or something like that, right? So it's long. So the traffic and travelers that are moving, people who want to go to school, reach to work on time, business after, people who are applying the, commerce, who are bringing goods, farmers who are bringing their produce, everybody uses this bridge. And it connects, 100,000 plus people in Region 3, plus 100,000 plus, because there's 100,000 plus registered voters, but you have children and others who are not on the registration. In Region 3, and then you have Region 4 persons who are coming into Region 3. Then you have Region 3 connecting into Region 2 via the ferries. So it's a huge amount of volume. And that bridge, to build up the new one, I think it will transform, not one, about the ease of traffic. It will transform the look of the area, but the functionality of the bridge will enable people to move freely without any encumbrances. Not just over the bridge, moving to and from, but the marine traffic. Now remember, this bridge will be from the mean watermark, the highest mean watermark, to the top or the bottom of the of this bridge in the we call the high span area over the channel. Channel is around I think that will be about 210 meters, and it's gonna be about 48 meters high from the watermark. It will allow for ships the size of handy-maxes, which are container vessels, to move under it without any issues. Yeah. So that means that, you know, marine lands at the front, or waterfront facilities at the front of the Demerara River will now be, the ones at the back will be just as valuable as the ones at the front, because marine traffic can move easily. Yeah. So you can develop the behind the river too. So there's huge benefits, not just for travel alone, for future development of the waterside. A lot of persons that own land and want to develop, and so, you know, they will see their value of their asset, the intrinsic value, shoot up.
And it wasn't an easy process.
No,
it was an intense procurement
process. There's nothing easy about that process. That process was from feasibility to design to the tendering, developing of the tender documents, the contract. We had to put together a cross-agency team to manage, you know, where the bridge is going, the alignment, who will be affected, the drainage, you know, everybody was part of it. GWI, you know, EPA, everybody was part of a massive cross-agency team to deal with that. The procurement side, and we went into to the EOI, then to the shortlist, the RFP award. This was a long process.
And we know that the president, shortly after taking office, made his way there and walked the alignment.
Yeah, well, that was the start. That was the start. And the president leads by example. He called myself, and we went there with a team, and we went. I think Minister Edger was with me as well.
Yes.
And we went and we walked the alignments. You know where this bridge is going. You understand the landscape. You know where the runoff is going to go, how the traffic is going to dissipate into the communities. Things like that you have to look at, you know.
Well, we were excited to see that project come
up. It's led by the president. It will land over at, right over at Lagrange there to move traffic now straight into Region 3 easily. So you cut out the bottleneck around the Port Dryne, Vredenhoek area coming around to New Road. You'll cut out all that traffic.
Well, we're looking forward to that, but let's turn our attention to roads. We know that the Ministry of Public Works is most known for its roads, and key to that is the miscellaneous roads, roads that people rely on to get in and out of their communities and so on. Let's discuss the miscellaneous road program over the past 2 years.
Well, the miscellaneous roads program over the past has ballooned, simply because the last 5 years. And we have to remember that when PPP was in government prior to 2015, they didn't have majority in parliament too. And the budgets were cut for a lot of infrastructure works. If you take a long-term trend analysis of capital spend in Guyana, you'll see when the capital programs start to dissipate. And the infrastructure was neglected in some areas. Massively in terms of roads, there's small amounts of money. Soon we came into government 2020, we had a huge budget for miscellaneous road. Then in 2021, it went up significantly. 2022, last budget was for $15.2 billion. We just had $3 billion extra in the supplemental to top up on that $15.2 billion for the roads program. That's the small roads, as you call it, right? Community roads.
Yeah.
Now, every community, when you go, roads is a problem. Most of the social media posts, most of the advocacy from people, from residents concerned, are roads. People concerned about when they come into the community or when they leave in the community, some person might not worry if you're going to put up a big hotel or two, so they're concerned about the road and the drainage in the community, right? Yeah. So that program has seen significant improvement in terms of everywhere in Guyana. We are building roads. But yet it's still hard enough. Although we have the budget maybe, I think, about 4 times the amount that we found it, or maybe more, if I'm to be corrected, because we have never seen the size of that miscellaneous program as big as it is in 2022. $15.2 billion alone. We're talking roads everywhere. Look, Vice President committed 300 in Region 6 alone. 300 roads in Region 6. Region 5 have a whole dosage of roads. On the East Bank corridor to Georgetown, a whole dosage of road, $2 billion plus. Region 3, about 3 billion in the air. East Bank Corridor, another billion. Region 10, another billion, right? Region 2, another billion. So there's a lot of roads, right? There's a lot of roads in that program, and that means a lot to people. But although we're doing a lot, there's still a lot left to be done. In the schemes, like recently I was into Parfit, Harmony, Rec Dorsey, Westminster, and the in that area. Terrible.
Definitely.
Tushin, although we did a number of roads, we did about 35 roads in Tushin. There's about 100 roads still remaining to get done. Zilot in Region 3, although we did a number of roads, fixed a lot of them, about 77 roads still yet to be done. If you go to Horstel and if you go to Farm, there are roads that need to be done. If you go on the East Coast in some of the community, the road still needs to be done. Region 5 in Huntley area and some other areas, you still need roads. Region 6 where we're doing a lot, but although we're doing a lot, there's still much more to be done in the area like Fort Ordnance. And if you go up further in some of the communities like in 𝐘𝐄𝐀 and Chesney area, although we are going to do roads and we are doing roads, much more needs to be done. So just to say that although we are putting the amount of work in it, there are still a number of complaints because residents have seen how those roads are getting done and they want their own.
What about mine?
What about mine?
Yeah.
Right? So we have that, but we are doing everything, and the commitment that there's every road in the country we have to fix, but there's a process of getting that. But that is a very important thing, Shaquille, because it matters to people what is in front of them.
Yeah.
You know,
and
rightly so too.
And a lot of persons, as you said, there's much more to be done, but persons watching this program would say, but mine still isn't done. What is the ministry doing as it relates to assessment? Because I know the ministry goes in and does site.
Well, actually, I can tell you, right? We have done, when we came in 2021, before we started doing the advertisement of which road we're going to do, we looked at the critical roads that most persons use, and those are that you prioritize like that. The one that affects the people the most in the worst way. So, and we prioritize roads, and we do them. So we try to do the main access road that everybody will use. Then you go into the cross streets and so. That's, you know, the principle, general principle. So we have been doing that, and we put money, but you gotta continue to put money in yearly amounts to get them done, right? So the person who has not gotten the road done, it's not like we don't know it's not the condition of the road. We go around. We go around the communities we know. We see them. There's only so much you can do in a given year, you know? So you do them, and then you do them in phases. You know, on the islands, like we can, did like one, some parts are like in region 2, like in on the naming, where they have that scheme. Limassans Road, we are now doing that, but they got to cross streets and so needs to be done. Yeah. Right, in region 1, we are doing all of the like in Morocco area, PK area, Mabaroom area, we're converting the red loom roads into concrete roads, rigid pavement. So that is the direction we are going with some of those there.
Let's talk about a major road. I know the Linem to Mabura Road project, we've secured funding for that, and the intent is to pave that road all the way to Lethem eventually. Why is this project, and just like the Demerara River crossing, why is this project so critical in to see for the first time a road meeting to Lethem being paved?
I know. So let's look at developed countries that have these long roads that connect countries and or connect you know, a state into an interstate, or you know, province into another province. In Guyana, for us to really develop as a country in the long term, we have to have, you know, volumes moving through. So northern Brazil have a lot of people, and they're landlocked, and for them to actually get a port to take days, right? If they use this road, between 24 to 48 hours, they can reach a port upon completion of this road. Now, just to be clear, this road that we're building is now from ground zero, which is what we call mile zero, is right at Linden, going to Lethem, but this is the first phase. And the first phase is 121 kilometers. The entire length of this road is 451 kilometers. So there's 330 remaining to be done. With a bridge, I think it's a 600 meters bridge or a 0.6 km of a bridge in the 𝐘𝐿-𝐅𝐅𝐈𝐂𝐄 River.
At the 𝐘𝐿-𝐅𝐼𝐂𝐄 crossing.
At the crossing. You have to put a bridge there to have free flow. So there's no stop and wait and so on, right? So there's 330 remaining plus a bridge to be, and that you have to get financing and so. But this, the phase one start, which is going to be a proper road that have good driving surface, proper drainage at the end, the shoulders are going to be strong, we have rest stops on it and so on, right? And that project is about 190 million US. It will bring a lot of jobs to the area. The consumption of materials, sandstone, loom, everything will be the need for operators, the need for men to work on the road. So it will generate employment. It will open up lands for people to go and do farming. They can develop the area, have rest stops, you can do things because on that stretch there's a lot of things for you to do for tourism as well too. 58 have Great Falls, they have a lot of things on that stretch that you can go, and after the completion of the road. Now what you're finding is a red loom, very difficult on people who traverse for a living or people who move goods through that trail.
Particularly in the rainy season.
Yeah, it's terrible, because the water washes away the topsoil, becomes very, very tumultuous to move through.
And since we're on that road, heading to the hinterland, let's bring hinterland roads into focus. What was the state of the hinterland roads when the administration took office, and how has the administration been arresting this situation?
Well, hinterland roads has always been something that is, a tough thing to deal with, regardless of which administration is in. Them, when they were in APNU, the kind of, as I said, their capital budget was little to nothing.
So you couldn't get much done?
You can't get much done anyhow. Right, but what we have done, we have started to build back these roads. But a lot of these roads are red loom roads, so that is one of the problems when you have a rainy season. So with the Linden to Mobura, you'll have 121 covered in asphalt now. The rest will be red loom. So we have the maintenance contract for them. We have the ones between Public Works and the GGMC. Both institutions put together into the pool to deal with the hinterland roads, whether it's in the Puruni side, whether it's in Sulphur side from the Cayuni side there, whether it's on the trail to Letem, even the jump Kurpakari, Anai, and then to Letem. If you look at that entire stretch, and then you have in Region 9 all of the connecting roads that take you to South Central and North Rupununi. We also have the piece from Karasabai in Region 8 that leading you through a place called Tipiru. Then there's another village called Rukomoto, Bushmouth, and then Yorongparu, and then Monkey Mountain is a route there, right? That connects 8 and 9 together. Yeah. That was in the worst state possible. I went on that road in December of 2020. It was the worst place I've ever been in terms of the road. It was that bad, right? But we have been fixing it, but those areas, when big trucks move through in the rainy weather, they get bad, and you have to keep putting money into them. That's a problem with roads of that nature. But we have been managing to hold it together. Now, when you have floods like where we had last year between May to July, it destroys those works. It literally, the water come and wash away the topsoil, you're left with nothing. So you have to now keep, put in a maintenance contract in place for those. So we've been doing those fairly well, but rain will continue to be a factor that caused the destruction, coupled with people moving heavyweight trucks on them during the wet season and causing more damages. So it's just a constant fight with that.
Let's turn to waterfront development. I know the administration in multiple regions is looking to develop waterfronts, and that is critical for tourism and other economic activity. How are we moving ahead with that?
So government don't really develop the waterfront. Government facilitate private sector to do that. Right? So just get that clear. So, well, right now, most of the business is concentrated in the Demerara River simply because of proximity, supply management systems, and proximity to a supply base to move stuff offshore, because as you know, most of the offshore operations are supported by onshore operation. So the entire Demerara on the East Bank side is everybody's developing something. And then we have on the west side, Region 3, we have the NRG development that's going to transform Region 3 as a marines base as well, because you'll have, it will be commercial as well. You have Exxon has contracted them to do a base for them for their marine ops. But the thinking of NRG, from what they said to me, they want to look at a commercial piece as well too. So anyhow, that will transform Region 3 in terms of, having a base of that nature, because, you got to feed that base now.
Yeah.
So you have to have roads, systems, everything feeding into that base to get it out. It can come via the river and offload right there and do whatever works need to be done on the base, and then export that back to offshore to be deployed either on the bed or if it's pipes or whatever it is. But you'll have to feed that base to operate. You got the workers, everything to get that done. So that will transform Region 3 in addition to the bridge, because the timeline for building the bridge and the completion of that base is maybe a year and a half differential.
And since we're talking about waterfront, let's go a bit more out into the water. The Northwest Ferry, we know that has been a promise for the people of Region 1 who are dependent on getting their goods from Georgetown, and the current ferry is not keeping up to the pace at which we need to ensure that.
So as we're talking about ferries and so on, so right now with the waterfront development of the Demerara River, there are massive dredging is going on there now. Never been done, I think, since 1992 or 1994 when Boscalis Trail, they did the dredging at the Demerara area. We are now dredging now. We're going to have, I think, it's 100 meters wide channel going out, which will, and it will be deeper as well too. So it's broader and deeper.
So that can accommodate bigger vessels.
Bigger vessels easily. So that is happening right now. If you look outside, you'll see a floating hotel, like it's a massive dredge, and they have a lot of other smaller ones and supply vessels assisting them. The Northwest Ferry that we're bringing is again, the President and VP, when we came into government, was sat down together and looked at this project. It was built by the Garden Reach engineers out of India. They are the Navy shipbuilders in India, and they built the ship. It's going to be here before the end of the year. We have to retrofit the stelling because it's a roll-on, roll-off kind of operation. So we have to retrofit 4 stellings. I think it's PK, Morwana, Kumaka, and the Georgetown one. So the old ferries, as you know, that ply the trade, they're still working, and we're grateful for them. But the volume, the capacity, the cold storage, and so that this ferry has, then it will add to
significantly.
Yeah, adds to, and the speed that it will move at will be faster than them as well too. So it will add to the carrying capacity and the speed of getting to and from. I think this is a good thing, for because a lot of people depend on this ferry to reach the Region 1, taking goods up and down. So I believe that is a good thing. I think that maybe in the future we might look at more as we can afford it, because it helps with movement of goods, the volume of goods,
And as the administration looks at procuring ferries like the Northwest Ferry, as you alluded to earlier, the development of stellings has to work hand in hand. How are we doing with the rehabilitation of stellings?
So the Vreeden Hoop and the Georgetown stelling, those are dilapidated. The Parika stelling, we maintain it, but it had to be developed in the future. The Leg 1 stelling is contracted. The contractor has not been working as much as we want to get that stelling to where it's supposed to be, but that is under development. We just finished Fort Island. We have a contract with Bar-Ticketo. Again, the contractors got to work a little faster to get that done because it's on the contract. Somebody like Kumaka, as I told you, those in Region 1. But then you have some other stellings that we're trying to get and bring them up as well too, because you can't have modern ferry and they have old stellings to dock at.
Indeed. Let's turn our attention to the aviation sector. The largest project in that sector to date, of course, is the modernization of the 𝐘𝐄𝐑 International Airport. Now, this project had a number of deficiencies under the previous administration, and it has engaged the president's attention to the point which he's met with the Chinese ambassador and so on. What was done? Give us a breakdown of what was done to bring us to this stage.
Well, when we came into office, that contract was in a total mess. When we looked at the engineer report, we found 1,500 plus defects. Some of the defects were not feasible because it means that you have to dig up back artworks and so to get it right. We came down to a number of defects, about 800 and something, that could have been dealt with by the contractor. President himself led the discussion with the contractor, the Chinese embassy, the lending institution, everybody. President himself led that discussion. Myself, Attorney General, Minister of Finance, Minister of Public Works, 𝐻𝐅, so with the team from China Harbor. They brought in some people and so, but we told them clear that is a fixed price contract. The variations cannot be entertained and they have to go fix it. And they agreed after many meetings, till we are at a point where substantial completion now, as you recently saw, and the 2 more bridges are going to be there and so on, right? They did some works and they did some extension and so. So that is substantially completed. Now remember, CGIA is the first stop investors when they come in the sea.
Yeah.
And it's the last thing they will see when they leave. So if we want to develop Guyana, we have to look the part too. I believe that the airport, as it is now, at least we got the contract delivery proper from China Harbor, but now we have to look to further development. The system, inline baggage conveyor system. We are looking at the proper kiosks so that people can do self-checking. We are looking at expansion of the cargo side of the business. There are a number of prospective investors who want to operate cargo facility. Denata came from UAE to look at a particular area for cargo. Other operators as well, international operators, want to look at cargo side. Whilst we also pursuing a number of airlines to move different routes to bring passenger to and from Guyana. So we have this fantastic investment destination, a lot of opportunities here. We need to get people here to see it. Yes. And get them with ease at an affordable cost. So on the aviation side, that's what we're doing. On the local side, in terms of the local airport, Ogle Airport Incorporated, they have presented to us a developmental plan to develop that facility, and that is done privately because it's run privately. Government have given them a lease for the area, but they have presented a plan to government for the development of that general area, including the runway, including the terminals and so on, bring aviation related investment inward in the area so they can utilize the land, because they have a lot of land there that is not utilized since the operation of the airport. And I believe that their view is to bring that up and make it a regional airport, a good looking airport with a lot of what you call correlated aviation services around, whether it's a hotel, whether it's shopping system, whatever they want to do, but they have presented a plan to government to get that going. So the aviation, at least the 2 airports can raise up at a level. And
as we can't talk aviation without looking, of course, at the hinterland, the numerous hinterland airstrips, government controlled, some private controlled, and let's talk about what has been done to ensure those are upgraded.
We have developed the Latem aerodrome that so that larger planes can land there, right? There are a number of others that needs to be developed in Mabaruma, in 𝐘𝐄𝐀𝐑, Nitaringbang, we have Region 8, all the different regions that we fly to. There are a number of airships. We got about 100 and something, but 50 something of them are active. So we have to develop them and keep maintaining them, because as the rain come, it destroys them, and so on. So you have to continuously maintain them. We have a program at the ministry that some of them need complete rehabilitation. Some of them just need maintenance work. So it's something that we look at and something that we continuously have to work with. When we had the Tushao conference, that was one of the major things raised by the Tushaos about the airstrip, and the local operators say that too, that the maintenance cost is high because when their plane hit the ground, it's rough and so on. So that requires significant focus and maybe a little more resources to get it to where everybody wants it to go.
Minister, before we close the program, let's look at the administration's vision for the development of Guyana. The development of Guyana is a hot topic in most countries. It's a hot topic even at home as Guyanese look as we follow the president's vision of Silica City and so on, and how this country will transform. What's the administration's vision for the development of Guyana through the Ministry of Public Works?
That's a good question. So we are a stool on the table of the wider development of Guyana. So the president has laid out his infrastructure vision for Guyana, which is the widening of highways, the creation of new highways, whether it's from Molson Creek to New Amsterdam, whether it's on the backlands, we want to open up a new highway, whether it's this one that we just started, moving from Mandela Avenue straight up to Timeri, whether it's Crane to Schoonard, whether it's Schoonard to Parika, whether it's the interlink between Macaura to Bartica Monkey Jump, then bring it back up to Goshen and Parika. Whatever the development in terms of roads, highways, and so on, the port system, the housing system, the hotels, aviation, gas to energy in Wales, development of the energy infrastructure. We are a stool in that entire, we call a mixed bag of development that is on the table. We will deal with the roads, the bridges, the infrastructure, whether it's aviation. That is our role at Public Works, to fall under our ambit. I think the president's vision is one that it's grand enough to encompass all Guyanese, to be a part of delivering the vision. I think that everybody can have a part in playing, in delivering that vision. And that is not for government to look good alone. It's for, when the vision is developed, it's for the people to use. Whatever infrastructure is there is for the people to use. If it's a road, it's for people to use. If it's a highway, it's for our people to use. If it's a bridge, it's for our people to use. If it's street lights, it's for somebody to walk without getting, robbed on the street or something. Whatever the vision is, and as the president has laid it out, whether it's housing, education infrastructure, health infrastructure, aviation, energy, roads and bridges, sea defense, whatever infrastructure we're putting in, is for the people of the country.
Yeah.
And I believe that his vision is big enough to take Guyana where she belongs, to be at the table of one of those countries that are a new oil producer, but at the same time we're doing it in a low carbon fashion, because it's the LCDS that is guiding the strategy. So you have oil, but you have all of these other sectors are moving at the same time, that they're developing at the same time. So you're not just depending on oil alone, which is, a resource that will run out. You have the other areas of agriculture, the construction, tourism, all of that. We are trying to develop in tandem with the oil and gas sector. So I think we're in good hands. I think the government of Guyana is, since the time we've elected, the manifesto promises, we have followed true to word on them. And in 2 years, I think we are well on our way to delivering more than we promised. In some of the areas, more than we promised.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Minister Indar. This has been the journey to prosperity for all, and you've just heard it all from the minister within the Ministry of Public Works, speaking in depth about the administration's work over the past 2 years in office under that ministry. I'm your host, Shaquille Bourne. Minister, thank you.
Thank you.
And our viewers, please join us for another segment of the program. Take care.
Thank you.